Hey, what's going on, guys? So I wanted to announce the re-release of my Modern HTML and CSS from the Beginning course, which I did back in like 2017, 2018. And I've spent the last couple months just completely revamping it, creating new projects, and so on. And if you want the new version of the course, you can get it. There's a link in the description for just $15, and that's at traversymedia.com or at Udemy if you want the Udemy version. If you do get it from Traversy Media, you get the premium docs, which is basically just a detailed written version of the course in Markdown files. So it has all the code samples and all that. If you did already purchase the course from Udemy, then it'll be updated automatically. I did have to create it as a new product in my platform at traversymedia.com. So if you have it there, just email me at support@traversymedia.com and let me know the email that you're registered with, and I'll just add it to your account because I don't want to charge you again. It is a whole new course, but I figured I'd just give it to people that bought the first version. So as far as the old course, obviously it's evergreen. HTML and CSS hasn't changed that much, but I think that there's a lot of stuff in terms of like coding practices and naming conventions, things like that, that needed to be updated. I also wanted to add more content, but most of all, I wanted to change the projects and make them more modern. So I am going to give you a quick look at the main three projects of the course. There's all types of mini projects and little pricing grids, things like that. We have the sandbox, just like the first version, where we take a look at different CSS properties. We look at positioning and flexbox and the grid, specificity, and just the list goes on and on. But yeah, there's three main projects, so let's take a quick look at those. All right, now this course will have a lot of learning modules and we'll work in something called a sandbox. We'll also have some mini projects and challenges, but these are the three main website projects. So the first one is really minimalistic. It's to kind of get your feet wet and get you using what we learned in previous sections, things like the box model and flexbox and colors and fonts and custom properties and things like that. So it's a website for Lumina Creative, which is a fictional design or photography agency. So we just have a simple nav bar and logo menu. We have this text area. So every page has this text hero with just different quotes or different text. And then we have the gallery, which we'll be using Flexbox for initially, but later on when we learn CSS Grid, we're going to refactor it to use that, and we'll actually have some of these images span certain columns and rows. And we're also going to be using a Lightbox JavaScript library just to give it this lightbox effect. This isn't a JavaScript course, but there will be some areas where we use a little bit of vanilla JavaScript. This is the only library we'll use, but for hamburger menus and things like that, we'll be writing a little JavaScript, but don't let that overwhelm you. If you don't know any JavaScript at all, that's absolutely fine. And then we just have a simple footer at the bottom, and obviously everything is going to be responsive. So no hamburger menu in this project, but we have the logo and the menu stacking. So we get two columns instead of three on smaller screens. So obviously we'll be working with media queries. And then the about page is pretty simple. We have this text area, services, team, and then the contact page has a form. And we are going to deploy this to Netlify. First, we're going to learn about Git and version control and pushing to GitHub. Then we'll deploy to Netlify, and then we're going to use the Netlify form service to make this work so we can actually submit it and you have a working contact form. And then finally, we're going to take a domain name that I registered at Namecheap and use that as well. All right, so the second and third projects look a lot better. There's a lot more going on in terms of CSS. The first one is just to kind of get your feet wet. So this is called Tutor. It's for a course for creating courses. And you can see we have the nav bar at the top, which is transparent, but once we start scrolling, it has the background. So a little bit of JavaScript for that, as well as the hamburger menu. Okay, so again, a little bit of JS for that. And then we have the main hero section. We'll use some SVG images for the wave, and then CSS Grid for this area. We get the chapters, summary. Down here we get this. So we'll be using lots of the grid and Flexbox. So we have some cards here. So we will have some utility classes with custom properties, details, this area with the stats, newsletter, and a footer. And then we're going to have smooth scrolling, which is purely CSS. Now that we have the scroll behavior property, we don't need to use any JavaScript or jQuery like we did in the first version of the course. And then the contact page. So this just has a little map and a contact form, and we're going to deploy this site to Vercel, as you can see from the domain name, and we're going to use a service called FormSpree to make the contact form work. And then the last project called Lino, which is for a fictional productivity and health mobile app. This is actually going to use the BEM methodology, or BEM methodology, which stands for Block Element Modifier. And it's not a framework or anything like that. It's not a library. It's just a convention for naming your classes. And I really like it. I've been using it personally for a little while now, and I wanted to include it in the course. Not something you have to use, but I wanted to kind of introduce it to you guys in this course. So same kind of nav bar. We have the background on scroll. We have the smooth scroll, main hero area with some text and images and buttons, testimonials. We got this takeaways area. We'll be using the grid for this, so it's a two-dimensional grid. And then we have the preview area with an animated icon, so we'll be using some keyframes, add a little bit of JavaScript because we will have this video modal that opens. And then the details area, we have the screenshots, download buttons here, and the footer. And if we click on one of these more buttons, it takes us to the inner details page where we have a header, we have the pricing cards here, and then some features with some font awesome icons. All right, so pretty simple, but I think that these projects are much more modern and better looking than the projects from the old course, and the practices are better. There's more information, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. If you're interested, the promo code is in the description, and this isn't just for beginners. This is for anybody, even if you already know HTML and CSS and you just want some cool projects to build, maybe on the weekend or something. All right, so thanks for watching, guys. That's it, and I'll see you soon.